Yes.
Should we let people into a little secret before we get to the podcast?
Depends what it is.
It's an exciting one.
Go on.
So Laken's,
Yes.
you know, one of our long-standing brilliant sponsors, and Nor.
Do I know Laken's?
And Nor,
Yeah.
who produce the best chocolate in the country.
Yes.
Are partnering to do something really special over Christmas.
They're partnering.
Yeah. They've got together, they've merged, and they thought, you know what? What's better than Laken's? Laken's and Nor. What's better than Nor? Nor and Laken's.
Well, I'll tell you what, we need to take a lot of credit for this because we've been saying that they really complement each other in taste.
Yeah.
100%.
We're essentially the Tinder of Norfolk companies.
Right, okay. So Nor have hooked up with Laken's.
Yes.
And they're about to have a baby.
Basically.
So what's the
And
baby?
It's a beautiful baby.
Talk to me.
You know how Laken's describe themselves as being big, bold and beautiful?
Yes.
Well, what they're doing over Christmas is a Nor and Laken's hamper. So you get 3 bars of Nor.
Well, they're not.
3 bars of Nor and a mixed case of Laken's. That's 12 bottles. That'll keep everyone happy at Christmas for a really good price. And it gets even more exciting.
No, it doesn't.
You get to pick what 3 bars are going in the box.
What? No.
We've got 4 bars here now.
Yes.
We've done some tasting beforehand and we've agreed on 2 of them.
Yes, we definitely do.
Be Happy, which is milk chocolate with honeycomb and crunchy caramel. That's one of your favourites.
No, this is my absolute #1 favourite. I love this bar.
And I'm going with milk chocolate.
That's why I picked it.
Everyone loves it.
You're so basic. You love a milk chocolate.
But we've got 2 bars left. And
Right.
you can pick which one makes it. Now, to do so, you've got to head over to our Twitter and vote in a poll. You've only got 24 hours. The 2 contenders, Raspberry Crisp.
Yep.
It's bloody lovely.
That is bloody lovely.
And Fudge Crunch.
Ooh.
Oh, I really like the Fudge Crunch. Now,
I know who I'm voting for.
I like the Fudge because it's got...
Do you? I knew...
Because it kind of goes with everything, but...
You're so boring.
But the Raspberry Crisp and the dark chocolate, you know what I think that would go with? The Laken's Encore.
Yes.
It's punchy, the Encore.
Yes.
But it packs a punch in a nice way.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what it's like? It's like Ramsey hooking up with Timu Pookie. You know, that link up there is really tasty every now and then.
Yeah.
All the time.
What we're going to do is put poll up on Twitter.
Yes.
You can find that, search Talk Norwich City, and you can vote. And the winning vote over 24 hours will be the final bar that goes in the box.
Wow.
What we've also got is a very exciting podcast now coming up with Rob Butler.
Can I just say on a serious note, that is a belter for Christmas.
Oh, it's all your gifts in one.
Wow.
Imagine that. Rob Butler, this podcast's good.
It is. It's an absolute whopper.
It packs a punch.
Yeah, it does. I enjoy speaking with Rob, and actually, I don't mind saying I really have looked up to Rob in my short time in. I know it's not media, proper media, but I love what Rob's about because he's a top professional, but in his heart, he is a fan, and he can't shake that off. And I really, really love that about Rob Butler.
I think you're really going to enjoy it. We'll get into that now. Hello and a warm welcome back to the TNC podcast, the go-to Norwich City podcast, alongside the scrimmage. Jack Reeve, Chris Reeve, joined alongside BBC Radio Norfolk's very own Rob Butler.
Good to see you, boys.
How's it going?
Always good
been
to
a
see
little
you.
while.
Old friends, and I've got the green tea. So not the green and yellow tea, the green tea.
Yeah, and you've been training hard, haven't you, Rob, for this wrestling malarkey?
Well, let's do the gun show. Look, I'm not quite at your level. Oh, goodness me. That puts me to shame. But no, I appreciate you asking me, and it's lovely to be here.
There's a couple of wrestling questions I've seen on the old Twitter later on as well.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
we'll be getting into.
I didn't realise how well. I knew you were heavily involved with the wrestling. I've seen a lot of questions regarding your trainers, sneaker collection.
Sneaker collection. So anything to avoid Norwich City. Let's talk about sneakers, wrestling, music, whatever you want, films.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So what we should do before we get into it is explain to the people what's coming in tonight's episode.
All positivity.
There is a lot more positivity,
we won, didn't we?
Which is good. We're going to be talking about the last 3 games. Of course, a win against Stoke, Smith subs, Todd Cantwell, the latest media interview, and all sorts.
Yeah. I'd like to start, Rob, I think, but it's been a really weird couple of months for Norwich City, I think. And I'd say you're the most qualified out of most, you and Chris Gorham, etc., getting to the heart of fan opinion. Canary Call, of course, we all listen to it. It's why we love it. I guess it's slightly different after Saturday's win, But what is the general sentiment, not only surrounding Dean Smith, but the football club in general at the moment?
It's weird, Jack. It really is. I mean, you guys would have seen the game on Saturday, and everyone watching, as many people as possible would have been there or watching it or listening on the radio, or whatever. It felt weird, Let's be honest. Norwich won, and it was a good performance in the end, and it was really sort of against the run of play that Norwich went 2 up, and then from then on it was fine. But I just felt it was a really weird atmosphere. I think we'll talk about the interview later that Anthony Richards did, the finance director, but that was strange timing for that. Some of the stuff he said I don't agree with. I think lots of fans don't agree with it either. I would have liked to have been able to sort of come back at him with some stuff, which is normally what happens when you do an interview with independent media, but the club have decided not to do that. So it's a weird atmosphere. I can understand why people are frustrated at Dean Smith, but I honestly think he's got a bit too much stick, really. I think Dean Smith, he's a good manager. He's been successful, for large parts of his career. I don't think he's getting the players to play to their full potential. But I don't think he's the ultimate problem at Norwich City at the minute. I think the club, I think there is a disconnect with fans. I think that the fact that the club are going out of their way to say there isn't probably means that there is a problem, and they're trying to kind of sort that out. But fans just are a bit like Alan Partridge Shug, really, aren't they? That's where they're at, I think.
I'm so pleased you've mentioned the atmosphere, Rob. Like, there's no getting away from it this season. It's been dire. Everyone's likened the Barclay to a morgue, but the more I analyse it, the more I realise that actually I now take the side of the fence of the fans feed off the players, right? I actually don't think it's a 50-50 split anymore. I used to believe it was, and now I don't, because when, and I'm sure we'll talk about Smith's subs, Todd Cantwell, Nunes, etc. When those boys came on and they pressed, when Todd pressed, what a difference that made to the atmosphere. And all of a sudden, Carrow Road became what we loved again, right? And so I do want to hit out straight away and say I think it's absolute nonsense to say, the players look to the fans. No. Those players give to the fans. Always. That is their sole purpose in their position, and the same as everyone at the club. So I agree with the atmosphere point, Rob. It was still and sterile and actually soulless, actually.
I'm not having a go at the fans for
that.
No,
but it just is. Yeah. I can, Rob. It's no wonder, because they received a hot cow prod by way of that interview beforehand, and we were all waiting for it to go wrong, weren't we?
I think the interesting thing with the certain people's comments surrounding fan sentiment at the moment and maybe criticising atmosphere, the club have done nothing in order to help. I mean, we saw with the drummer on his scaffolding, I mean, they could have quite easily found a position within the crowd, could have helped more with flags. I think the club could have done more in order to support an upbeat atmosphere.
I disagree. I think that, yes, the drum position was very tin pot and didn't work, but they tried it, and they put out that survey. People said they wanted a drum but not next to them. They tried something. They've got the light show. I felt that actually it did liven it up a little bit before the game, personally. But I just think it's all about what we see on the pitch, Jack. So I think the club have actually tried to do some bits with the atmosphere this season. Don't get me wrong, it's poor. They're not working with the flags again. I think that's disappointing.
We won't start Rob on the drum situation.
Yeah, but you know me well, Jack. I've known you a long time. I'm not anti-drum, actually. No, I know Jack knows where he's going with that, and that's good journalism there, Jack.
I'm trying to wind you up. Welcome to
my
world.
He's not. I love him. But no, the thing with the drum is ultimately I find drums quite annoying, but actually I can change my mind and say it's been great. When it's been at the away games, Blackpool away, we were right beside it, myself, Chris and Rivo. It was great. It was awesome, honestly. And I've spoke to the chaps at City Elite, and I think they do a great job. They really try and invigorate the fans and what have you. And I thought it was great. So it doesn't matter what I think. If it makes the atmosphere better, it's good. I think the thing on the plinth, I just didn't get that. I thought that you want the City Elite people doing it. They're the ones who've put the time and effort into it. Let them do it. There's obviously a reason why not, and it might be a safety reason or whatever, but away from home, it's been a complete success. I think they're at Rotherham as well, aren't they?
I think they are.
Yeah,
they are. We were offered a space on the minibus and thought
you'd have a few
10-hour round trip with a drum may have been annoying.
But they're good. As I say, I've spoken to a couple of them, and I've seen them, and they are true Norwich fans. And what I like about them is it is a bit of the younger element, which is what we want. We need those young fans coming through. We need them to be really noisy and positive. And that's what they are. So, you know, that was us. Well, it was you 5 years ago, me 15 years ago. You know,
I'm never going to wear out of it, Rob.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I guess the thing around Dean Smith and playing styles, etc., is very much opinion based. You can sit one side of the fence or the other. I guess
but you can be in the middle as well, Jack.
You can be in the middle,
and that's kind of where I am.
And you can change your mind as well, which people have forgotten on social media. You are actually allowed to do.
You can't change your mind on social media, Chris. What are you talking about?
But what I was going to say is something that is a fact. I guess is media relationships with the football club. Like, I think Michael Bailey said on The Athletic the other week, is to a point fans don't really care, but I think what they do care about is, like you said earlier, are people at the football club being questioned? Are they being held to account? You work for the BBC, your relationship with the football club, I guess alongside the guys at the EDP, the Pink and the Athletic are very similar. What has your relationship been like with the football club this season in particular?
I mean, it hasn't really changed, to be honest, Jack. I mean, we haven't directly been told anything different. We've got a 3-year commentary deal with them, you know, so we turn up every week, do the commentary. We've had no issues there. We turn up, and despite what people have said, you know, I'm pretty sure they're contracted to certainly do post-match interviews. Yeah. I'm not a legal, but I'm pretty sure they have to do something pre-match as well. So this is something that all clubs do. We obviously turn up to Coney. We then speak to them after. Either Chris or Phil, whoever's done the commentary, will go down and speak to them, and that's all fine. We haven't directly been told that we've done anything wrong. You know, we've seen what other people have said. The relationships as it was, really. We're not ringing them up every day. You know, it's maybe a bit different for us because we've got Kings Lynn to cover and 50 other sports to do, Speedway, etc., as you know, when you were at the BBC. So so it hasn't really changed for us. I've obviously Connor, Paddy, you know, Dave Freezer, Sam and Adam and all the people at Peak, they're all my friends. I get on with them. Bailey's my friend. So, you know, we speak to each other. But as far as I'm concerned, we're just doing what we do and it's fine. But I think the fact that we obviously asked to speak to Stuart Webber and that wasn't accommodated, and I think that's a shame.
Refused that.
Well, yeah,
request.
refused is the word, I guess. We asked it, but so was everyone else, by all accounts, or we would have seen an interview. It was done with the club. Alice Piper, who, again, brilliant operator and someone we know well. Her dad, Kevin, you know, big part of my career, getting me where I am today.
Legend.
Absolutely. So I've got nothing but respect for Alice. I think she's an excellent journalist, but that's still an interview that's edited by the club. It's made shiny by the club. You can take which bits you want. So that's why it's not about BBC. It's not about the Pink, and it's not about Talk Norwich City. It's about the fans getting someone independent to ask questions. And even if that is just fans, that's great. But I don't think it's very healthy to have that situation where, you know, the powers that be can't speak to an independent person to get those thoughts.
Do you know the thing that I've cherry picked from that, Rob, which has really pissed me off actually, which is
Are we allowed to swear?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to swear.
This isn't the BBC.
Lowest form of.
You're the professional.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's me all over.
This
has pissed me off, right? Is that all of a sudden people are saying this terminology: all clubs this, all clubs that. Everyone else does this. We're not everyone else. We're fucking Norwich City Football Club. We're meant to be a family, community football club. We're not everyone else. Just because we've regressed on and off the pitch, why do we need to start saying that, oh, all clubs do it? No. We're not all clubs. We're Norwich City Football Club. Yeah. And we've got to do things differently. We've got to. And so I think that comment that started to come into a few things recently, I really disagree with that. I think it's a massive shame, and again, to use that word, I think it's soulless.
I think the reason I asked that question, Robin, you did a brilliant Twitter thread on Richards, the finance director's interview that I'm sure most people have watched. There was a quote in there that I think piqued a lot of people's interest of a break in trust. I think that's what he said with local media. So obviously something's happened to annoy them. Do you know what it is or why they feel that way?
We have not been officially told. I think lots of people can make their own minds up because of what other media outlets have done, and that's not me attacking them because, as I say, they're my friends, they're my colleagues, they're people I see every week. But it wouldn't be fair on me to talk about what they've done. I think, you know, I'm a big fan of the Pink and podcast, as I know you two boys are, and I think they've absolutely nailed it this week. I think Paddy Davitt, who great journalist, has had his say on it. So there's a plug. You've plugged the screens. You plugged to listen to the
Paddy
Think Up
Punch, a
podcast.
Paddy Punch.
We're all in it together. So we're all friends. We all want each other to be successful. So that they talk about it. We haven't been told what the breach of trust is. As far as we're aware, it's nothing we've done, and I think that's where it's a bit frustrating. Is that we're lumped in as local media, which is fine, because we are the local media. But I think all of us are kind of. I'm not going to say suffering, because we're not. We're still doing what we do. We're still commentating on games. We're still doing the scrimmage. We're still doing phone-ins and what have you. We don't want to be. We want to be friends with them, obviously.
I agree with all that, Rob. I think the problem, as you've already touched upon there, is that when everything is coming through club channels, they can never get away from the fact that it's from them, whether you think it's polished or not, or even if they keep it raw or not, whatever. I think by not using local media, fans are not going to believe it as much, because they're just going to assume that it is polished. That's the magic of using local media. So do you know what it's almost like at the moment, Rob? It's almost like, well, we've got Josh Sargent and Timu Pukki, right? We know that they can deliver, but instead we're going to play, I don't know, Sarah up top with, I don't know, Big Bad Barden up beside him. Like, it's just daft.
Big Bad Barden.
It's just daft. Like, play as strikers, man. Like, there is a disconnect, but it doesn't take a brain surgeon to work out that a big reason why the fans aren't rallying as much, key term there, is because they don't know these players as well. They're not connecting with them. They just see them as a bunch of players that have been relegated, and that's all they know. And so I think the club are fools for not working with the local media. I really do.
Well,
I think it's a real shame that a petty argument has got to this point where there hasn't been a critical conversation that says, God, you know what, guys, yeah, we actually do need you.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. I think it's been like that for a long time, though. This isn't just this regime. I mean, I started Anglia Telly covering Norwich City years and years ago with Kevin and the great team there, and it was always like, you're not going to get, whoever it was, Leon McKenzie coming sitting on Anglia Tonight as a guest, or, it was really hard to get, we used to do a programme called Anglia Soccer Night. It was really hard to get, current players in. I remember once I went up to Coney and they let me speak to Dean Ashton, and I did a sort of cheesy thing like, what do you prefer, Chinese or curry, or curry,
Original Dino, love it.
Love it. Well, great bloke, we all know that. But EastEnders or Corrie, and of course Corrie, 'cause he's from up north. So, and that was because it was very much the Soccer AM way of doing things, and we tried different stuff. And that was facilitated at the time, but it took a long time to get sorted, So that was my sort of one of my first experiences of sort of speaking to a current Norwich player, and I was really excited. And Dino was brilliant, and he still is. He's a great man. But so I don't think it's ever been that easy to get. You've done well to get players sitting in these seats. That's incredible. You have Anel doing stuff with you, and and other people, Angus and all that. You've even had Stuart Webber sat here. To be fair, so
well, I was about to mention Stuart. We'll get onto on the pitch stuff in a moment. I think the reason people loved Stuart at the beginning, and maybe that sentiment has changed, is not only on the pitch success, and we saw the brilliant recruitment of everyone did, Timu Pukki, etc., but there was a clarity and the communication seemed very clear. We knew what was going on at all times, and that seems to have changed. And the thing I was surprised about the Anthony Richens interview...
Well, I don't know, is it Rickens or Richens? What do you think?
Big Anthony, I'll call him.
The accountant. I was surprised that the finance director was communicating what were essentially messages that a CEO would otherwise communicate. So were you surprised to see the person that communicated it doing that? And if so, why was he doing it?
Well, yeah, I was. I tweeted it, so I was surprised. I think it's not really... Well, I'd say this now. I said it on Canary Court. I don't think football matters should be answered or addressed by a finance guy. I mean, it makes no sense. You need to speak to the football guy, and the top football guy at the club is Stuart Webber. Dino speaks to us every week, twice sometimes, because we do post-match, pre-match. He has his say. And he's always very fair with fans. I think he understands that you've got to be careful. You don't want to go too hard on fans, because we're a precious bunch sometimes. We don't want people to think we're not doing our bit, because we all think we are. I was really surprised. To be fair to Anthony Richens, he has put his head above the parapet. the questions that they put to him, despite being cherry picked, were quite strong. Some of them about the local media and what have you. And quite a lot of the time he says, "In my opinion," so it's not the board's opinion or the club's opinion.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I'm sorry, but you're a finance director, and I've interviewed Anthony myself during some AGM figures that we did, and really good bloke to deal with, and was really friendly and what have you. So no nothing personal here. But I don't think we need to hear, in my opinion, from a finance director. It's like, well, is that the club's opinion or is it your opinion? Well, if it's your opinion, unfortunately, people are watching this video on the Norwich City website, so they're going to be like, that's the club's opinion. So there you go.
So I've spoken to a representative from the club about this, and they're saying, well, actually, all of the other insight videos, everyone answered everything about anything, and that's sort of like what their line is on it, right? But for me, I think it would actually be better content if they kept the line of questioning about their specific role, department, function within the Norwich City Football Club engine, if you will, and let's go deeper and let's actually understand so much more insight and detail into that area. So I think it was brave. I also want to echo Rob's thoughts. It's not personal to Anthony. I thought 95% of the interview was actually interesting. It was insightful, and please don't get me wrong, there was a couple of questions which he had to politely dodge, which is understandable, but at least, as you said, he put his head above the parapet, because obviously Webber doesn't want to come on camera at the moment for whatever reasons you.
Well, we don't know that though, do we?
Well,
we can assume, but
he wasn't there in that moment.
But it's such a shame. I actually feel for Anthony, because I almost feel like he's been. I just don't understand why he.
The timing was interesting, I'd say. The timing was really interesting.
Away from that, and to flip things slightly, I've had to pinch myself a few times this season because I've been more positive than usual, and usually I'm the one
me, in fact,
that is slightly negative. Norwich City are in the playoffs at the moment. If we beat QPR on Wednesday, we leapfrog them, and QPR are being lauded as a really well-run club this season with a forward-thinking manager playing nice football. Norwich City are still in an okay position. So why do you think, Rob, that things have turned, I would describe toxic, because we saw on Saturday Kieran Dowell was cheered off when he was booed. But it happened from a large section of Norwich fans. The substitution of Onel Hernandez going off was booed.
Yeah.
There was chants of you don't know what you're doing towards Dean Smith.
And we won 3-1.
And we won 3-1. So how have we got to that position, despite having had a 9-game winning run, despite being in the playoffs, despite being within touching distance of the automatics?
Because there's a disconnect with the fans.
But why? And how has that come about?
It's been a long...
Rob, there's no disconnect. What are you on about? There's no disconnect. It's a figure of your imagination.
For whatever reason, and I'll try and answer that question. Yeah. You have to, I'm not saying that anyone who thinks Dean Smith should be sacked is wrong. I'm not saying that I think he should be sacked. I'm not saying I think he should get a 10-year contract. I'm saying that I don't think Dean Smith is doing a bad job. I don't think he's doing a great job. I think, if he was doing a great job, we'd be top of the league and we'd look like certainties to go up. It's easy just to keep going, sack the manager, sack the manager, sack the manager. What people need to do is look at the bigger picture. Norwich can't compete in the Premier League, that's clear. Mark Atanasio's come in and put 10 million into the board and is now on the board of directors. That's exciting for Norwich fans. So that's where we're at. So there's something they can go, right. It doesn't mean Delia and Michael are going to sell up, and lots of people don't want that. It means that Atanasio's there. He's clearly come here for a reason. I just think that the disconnect is that Dean Smith had a pretty terrible time after he took over from Daniel Farke. That can't be forgotten. Farke was sacked. Everyone loved Daniel Farke. He did a brilliant job, 2 titles, but actually in the Premier League we were rubbish. It didn't work for him in the Premier League. And everyone likes Daniel Farke. I watched Borussia Mönchengladbach at the weekend against
him say it rather than us for once.
Exactly. And they were playing Union Berlin, which and Dan O'Hagan, our friend, was commentating.
They're top, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah, they're a good side, and they beat them in the end. But Mönchengladbach took the lead. But seeing Daniel on the touch, I was a bit like, oh, there he is in his parka, and God bless him, we all miss him. But in the Premier League, it didn't work. So Stuart Webber was right to get rid of him, I think. And as much as I love Daniel Farke, that was the right decision. The fact that Dean Smith became available the next day made fans think, well, hang on a minute, there's not really a master plan here. And maybe there was, so let's not, Stuart can't speak for himself, so let's just assume that. Yeah. So the next day he becomes available. Everyone's a bit like, oh, I quite fancied Frank Lampard. That would have been exciting. And all
Yeah,
right,
who would think?
Well,
who would say that on national media
well,
as well?
well, you know, me and Chris, I'll be honest, and we probably said it on air. Me and Chris were quite excited coming back. You know, we're thinking on the way back from Brentford, we're thinking, oh, Frank Lampard, this would be good. We get to speak to Frank Lampard every week. That would be cool. It's
Can't
Frank
believe
Lampard.
you got excited about that.
But anyway, it didn't work out, and he's at Everton, and he's still at Everton, and they're doing all right, to be fair. But I don't think he probably would have been the right fit. But Dean Smith had that whole Premier League campaign, rest of the Premier League from whatever it was, November onwards, and it was terrible. You know, it was terrible. We played well for probably about an hour in total in that whole time. So everyone, and this is where I've kind of gone, right, let's start afresh from the summer.
Yep.
And here we are, we've done all right. We're going on that run, like you said. We were top of the league for a little while, and all right, we've come unstuck the last few weeks. But actually, I accept that people are saying, hang on a minute, Rob, that was terrible in the Premier League. Why do you think this manager is going to suddenly turn it around? He said the other week, or might have been last week in the press conference, I always leave a club better off than where I started. Well, he's going to have to leave us in 17th in the Premier League because he started with us in the bottom three. I think we were in the bottom three, we probably were, weren't we? And that's a big shout. And I just think when a manager says stuff like that, where you think, well, that's a long way off, is he starting to unravel a little bit? I don't know. But that's where I think that's where the fans are coming from. And I can only speak for what I think.
No, I completely. I think the thing I've noticed over maybe the last 3 or 4 years, and probably since Daniel Farke and the start of Stuart Webber, is like, is there now an expectation from football fans to be communicated everything going on with their football club? Because I think when we were under Worthington and Lambert and etc., and maybe we were doing well or we weren't doing well, but there wasn't always an expectation from fans to know everything. And now that buzzword is kind of disconnect, and I'm like, how is that? Is it solely a playing style thing? Is it solely a manager thing? Is it the fact that we're not hearing as much from?
Do you think there's a disconnect? Well, let's ask both of you. Do you think there's a disconnect?
I think.
What? Why are you dodging that? There's a fucking disconnect, man.
But I don't know. I think if you look at other Championship clubs, I think 21 of the 24 clubs would take the position that Norwich City are in.
For sure.
So I think we're very insular. Yeah. We're not looking out. We've had it really good for the last decade.
I love that from you.
And the first season where we're 6th instead of 1st, we're kind of throwing the toys out of the pram a little bit. Actually, we've had it really good.
We're quite needy, us football fans, aren't we?
We are. We're needy, and we've got a right to be needy because we pay a lot of money to watch our football club play.
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is like, I don't think it's as bad as people are making out at the moment.
But do you think, Jack, it's the fact that Norwich City have held on to this hope of this self-funded fairy tale?
Well, I think I think you're right, and I think Rob makes a good point. Is like, I think the big thing is you said it there. We can't compete in the Premier League, and that's bang on. We can't with the current ownership. So if we go down, we have to have an amazing season playing flash football because we know when we go back up, we're not going to stay up.
We were told that it was possible, that we could do it, and we lived this narrative of ignore the noise, and we were going to do it our way and stuff. And so I think Norwich City fans are realising this way. I think Norwich have had their wake-up call, and we've all realised, oh shit, we are actually involved in modern football now. Big Premier League money, huge gap between Premier League and Championship. The fact that we can't compete, even if, bless him, Big Mark puts his 10 million quid in, it barely touches the sides, and I think that helps.
But is that a Norwich City problem? Or
No. It's a football problem.
But we can't. But you can't. We're in it, aren't we?
Yeah.
So
that's
the problem.
that's why the Dean Smith thing challenges me. And I've not spoken out about this yet because people tweet me all the time. You Smith in, Smith out, blah blah blah.
Just be in the middle, mate.
Well, actually, I'm okay with that.
You can
because
be.
I don't
think black
think,
or white. It can be grey. It's fine.
Yeah.
Look at my beard. It's grey.
Yeah, and it looks really sexy as well.
Thanks, mate.
Dean Smith isn't the silver bullet solution. If you sack Dean Smith, we're not going to start smashing the league again. Don't get me wrong. If you bring someone else new in, you might galvanise the troops a wee bit. They might play some good ball, but it's. I personally have the faith that it won't last because of this current feeling and setup that we're in, both in terms of the club and the players that we've got, and the era that we're in. And that's why I'm so excited about Big Mark coming. Because I genuinely think that he is the breath of fresh air that this football club needs. Doing things differently, fresh optimism and ambition, and obviously cash to help support us buy some players. Right?
It's not. But I don't think Norwich fans. I mean, again, I'm going to speak for me as a Norwich fan, but I don't think Norwich fans are saying they want 600 million. They don't want to go silly and just get all in kinds of trouble and just have a fly-by-night come in.
Not in the Forest.
Clearly Mark Atanasio is a decent bloke. He's done a great job with the Milwaukee Brewers. You know, they're a proper community club themselves. You know, it's a sort of blue collar part of America. You know, it's not the biggest city, it's not the most glamorous city. It's a nice city like Norwich. So he's obviously got experience of that. So he's not here for fun. He's obviously thinking, right, long term, I think I can help Norwich City. And that should be exciting. But we're not saying we need 600 million. We might need 100 million on top of the Premier League money if we do manage to get up in the next couple of years. But we've got 9 players out of contract in the next summer. So if Norwich do go up, and I think it's going to be tough, but if they do go up this season via the playoffs or automatically, you could lose 9 players, you know, and then you've got to bring those 9 replacements in, and they've still got to be better than the people they've replaced by a long way, because that squad couldn't keep us up. Not anywhere near good enough. Not anywhere near good enough. Miles off. So I think that's where you have to have, and again, people, I can see the comments now on YouTube going, what are you boys talking about with Dean Smith? Because there's so many people who have got such a thing against him.
I don't blame them though.
No, I don't blame him. And that's their opinion.
Yeah.
But the point is that he's got what he's got. And I've seen lots of people say, oh, this squad is you know, it should be top of the league. This is a great squad. There's some great players in there, but there's still a little bit missing, I think, you know, and that's the problem. And certainly in the Premier League there will be.
And Rob, something that you've brought up, which barely anyone is talking about. Michael Bailey did a great article in The Athletic on this. 9 players out of contract. Surely that's got to be affecting things. Like, I'm not saying the players are going to be unprofessional or
they're going to
run down their contracts, but they're going to be thinking, what's my future? Am I in at Norwich City Football Club or am I going elsewhere? And I think that's a very turbulent, very emotional place to be. You want to be stable. You want to know, right, this is where I am. This is what I'm doing. And I think where we're at, boys, I think we're at the end of a cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're at the end of a cycle, but I do believe that just sacking Dean Smith is not going to solve it whilst we've still got Webber 90% in, 10% up mountains, Neil Adams in transition. But that's the truth though, isn't it?
I'm not here to stick up for Stuart Webber, but I do think the 90% thing, it's sort of, fans have jumped on it, and I can understand why. But I mean, it's kind of, you know, he was saying 90% of his life he dedicates to Norwich City, and that other 10% is for his own time. But I also think, you know, we understand he spoke to Chelsea, so there's obviously that thing. I mean, if he had gone to Chelsea, they're not going to say, well, I don't think they would. Yeah, you're right, you can have a month off to go and climb a mountain for charity. Would they? Probably not. So we need to hear from him to hear that, does he want to be here for the long term? Is it just for the next few months? Or, you know, apparently they've decided him to stay, Dealer and Michael. So that's where it comes from, I think, the uncertainty, you know.
And see, that's the thing, right? Is that if the club aren't giving anything, then we're gonna question things. And like, I want to stick up for Webber. I want to. He's done so much good for this football club. But at the moment, I'm like, I really respect him so much. Like, he's messaged me multiple occasions. He's helped me arrange things. He's come on the podcast. He's done so much for the football club. You know, but we need to hear from him. And
you can't have a situation where Delia and Michael, who do think with their heart, which I think is something we should admire in a way, but also something we should be, you know, perhaps as fans be a little bit more, oh, hang on a minute, don't always use your heart, use your head sometimes. So they've given him the control of the club, and in terms of football side of things, and they obviously think he's amazing, and you know, he's done a good job, and that's what they think. So they're giving a lot of trust to him to say, look, if you want to go off and do this thing in during the World Cup or whatever it is, whenever it is, that's fine. We trust you because we really respect you.
Yeah.
But actually, if we lose every game now until, you know, that, I think Middlesbrough's the last game before the World Cup, if we lose all them games, there probably will be a decision to make, because, you know, and that's the perfect time to do it, is during a World Cup break. But if Stuart Webber's not here, does Neil make that decision? Do the board make that decision? Do Adelia and Michael make that decision? So
I can't see them making that decision.
No, I don't think they will, but I'm just saying, if that's the situation,
to have a situation in order to make a decision.
You can't. I'll always say this. I remember a very well-known director of football that I know, and he used to work with Anglo. I won't name him, but he's a local and he's a larger-than-life personality, and he was wanted for a reality show. You probably figure out who it is. Yeah. He was wanted for a reality show that went out at Christmas, and he said, "There's no way I would do that. because the fans would kill me. He said, if I'm on the telly at Christmas and we've got January coming up and there's transfers to come in and I've got to bring people in and let people go, I just wouldn't do it. I'm not saying that Stuart Webber's going on a reality show. I'm just saying that these are important times for Norwich City, and it's not his fault. It's been agreed that he can do this. But fans will say, hang on a minute, if we lose which I hope we don't, of course, and I don't think we will, but if we do lose the next 4 or 5 games, whatever it is, if there's a decision that needs to be made and he's not here, then what happens?
I think it'll be very interesting now that we've got Ataniazo here, who's a multi-million-pound businessman in a cutthroat industry. I can't imagine him being as open to requests that maybe Stuart's requested. Anyway, positives. Norwich City won on Saturday.
Yeah. Let's get positive. Come on.
There were some really nice moments in there. Todd Cantwell, Rob, came on, 68 minutes. By the 70th minute, we scored a second and we're soon out of sight.
Are we just going to skip the whole of that really shit?
Yes,
right,
we
okay.
Yeah, forget that,
Because that was turgid. I know people will be watching. That was turgid.
It was.
Come on. Can
we do the positive first?
No, because people are negative at the moment. We have to accept. Yeah. Yes, we were buzzing.
If Jack wants to be positive, we should be positive.
I've got to bring him back down to earth again for the people, because I want to be positive, but I want to back up the people that aren't liking this football, Jack.
Okay, go on then.
I just think it still wasn't good enough for the majority of the game.
I'm not saying it was.
But we won.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I'm trying to highlight Todd Cantwell.
Mate, I'm on your team here.
Todd Cantwell is a man in that 9 who's out of contract this summer.
Yeah.
There was a very interesting tweet from him after the game that said, I can't remember it word for word, I'll give everything with this football club and
whatever
try
happens
every week.
Type thing. Yeah.
So he knows his situation. He knows that his future could change. But the performance we saw from him, effort-wise, that was the thing I was most impressed with when he first came on. There was a real intensity that got the crowd up. He was down there, us where we sit in the Barclay, really
by the away
digging
fans,
in, and that was pleasing. And then that defence splitting pass that we just haven't seen all season.
Superb.
That was a moment where you go, okay, we've just brought on Cantwell, Nunes and Sarah.
What a bench.
Suddenly you're going, okay,
agreed.
like if we can start to harness some of this talent, we've got a chance here.
I'm Todd Cantwell's you're Todd Cantwell's biggest fan. You're probably joint top, and we're all joint.
We're on the
biggest
podium.
fans. So don't think we're just fanboys for Todd Cantwell. But I think he's a brilliant footballer. I think he's a brilliant young man. He's from Norfolk.
You love his hair.
I love his hair. You know what he did over Christmas that time a couple of years ago just shows what kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
I'm not his manager or agent or his PR, but I just think Todd Cantwell's an excellent player, and I'm really sad that we've got to the point where we had to loan him out. There was obviously something went on, and he went to Bournemouth, who are a much, much smaller club than Norwich City, and we should not be loaning players out.
What are you laughing for? They are.
I love it,
You
two sitting next to each
Yeah,
other.
good. About time that someone was on this podcast with a bit of passion about him.
Yeah, but come on, Bournemouth, they've got
Good.
11,000 crowds.
I love that from you, Rob Butler.
Come on.
Absolutely superb.
No disrespect to Bournemouth, but
No
come on.
disrespect
we
to
should not be
Bournemouth.
loaning our best players to Bournemouth. No, and that's not because this is where the pyramid was. When I was a kid, which was before you lot were born, Bournemouth were like Sherpa Van Trophy winners. That's what they were doing.
It's because that's what they are.
You don't even know what the Sherpa Van Trophy is, do you?
When you are in the away stand and you're looking to your left, I kid you not, half of the stand has got blankets on. It's like the Bovril boys in the City stand on steroids. I've never seen anything like it.
My dad's one of them Bovril boys. But
Big up the Bovril boys, by the way.
And Todd Cantwell,
Cantwell.
came on and he was a man possessed. He
Yes.
was proving a point. He was flying in with tackles. He was chasing back. He played a brilliant pass to set up that goal, as you mentioned. And he proved what a great player he can be and is. I think we spend too much time talking about him. No disrespect to bringing him up today, but the phone in, I get people wanting to come in and talk about him when he hasn't even been in the squad. Well, let's talk about Todd Cantwell. Well, why? He hasn't even played today. Well, I just want to talk about him. And that's the kind of person he is. He attracts attention. He attracts people wanting to talk about him because he's such a good player. We know how good he can be. And that's the only thing. He will know himself how good he can be. He will know himself what a weapon he can be for Norwich City, how important he is to Norwich City, and he will know himself he wants to do that every week.
That's a good point Rob says actually there, is that actually when we have like an average player at the club and they just sort of poodle along,
exactly.
sort of maybe
you get nothing.
Maybe 6 to 7s out of 10s. We've seen Todd Cantwell in the Premier League put in 9s and 10s. I mean, obviously Man City comes to mind. I think he scored against Chelsea. I think he scored against Arsenal. I might be making that one up, but we've seen that latent potential fulfilled, and then obviously it dropped because of something that went on behind the scenes with a certain German fellow. But the player is there, and I actually want to bring out something else. I tweeted and Burnley was dreadful, but everyone's talking about the hunt and the desire, man possessed.
Yeah, he was good that night. Yeah,
he was fucking great against Burnley as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's
chasing
what
things
you do.
down, tackles.
But the trouble that Todd's
Brilliant.
got is that he's an individual. He's a unique person.
Yes.
He does things like
Which should be celebrated.
Absolutely,
That's not a bad thing.
Exactly what I was getting to. The point is and Chris always laughs at me because I once said on it, well, he likes his clothes, and what I meant by that is he's an individual. He wears cool clothes. He's like me with my sneakers. He and he might just do a little Instagram video of him listening to some music he likes. What's wrong with that? It's a bit like
There isn't anything wrong
Dominic
with that.
Calvert-Lewin at Everton got loads of stick for some of the stuff. I mean, what's it got to do with anyone?
It's
What
pathetic,
a
mate. Yes.
young man or woman wants to wear? It's got nothing to do with you. What he does in his personal time is entirely up to him. And what he does on that pitch when he's firing is incredible. So people need to just get over this, oh, Todd this, Todd that. Just let the boy be a footballer.
Do you know what I would say, actually? I think we might almost be bringing something up that actually is almost not existing anymore. I've seen a big shift in people's mindset, certainly social media abuse towards Todd Cantwell recently, because, to be fair, Todd is coming on and he's fighting for every ball. And I'm not saying he wasn't in the first place, but the performance levels have been there. And I think now he's winning back the fans that had sort of cast him aside, and I think that's an exciting place to be.
We all know he's one of our best 11 players.
Of
so,
course,
I think you said it earlier, Chris. If players on the pitch are performing, fans will be happy. Respect.
Yeah.
Right, there's a part of the podcast now where I want you to be fully quiet. And I'm going to ask Rob a question, and you can't say anything.
Okay.
Where are we at with Onel Hernandez, Rob? Because his substitution when he came off on Saturday was booed, and we know that the substitutions that came on then went to change the game. Onel's in a really unique situation, isn't he? Because he's one of the few that's kind of lasted through a couple of eras. He's had moments out on loan, he's come back, he's been in favour, out of favour, and he seems to be the last player I can think of is almost Kyle Lafferty, where we're in in a situation where we're struggling and everyone's like, well, Kyle Lafferty's the answer. And now it's, well, Onel Hernandez
There's always
is the
someone
answer.
there, I know what you mean.
Despite only scoring once, I might have registered an assist. I don't think he has. So numerically, not great in terms of numbers, but fans are, you can't speak. So where are we at with Onel at the moment?
We love him, don't we? I mean, we love him because he's just a great human being. He is a fantastic lad. He's a good player on his day. I think Onel would say himself that he needs to do that more consistently. He needs to be that rather than be a sub. He needs to be someone who starts and actually grabs that chance. But what I love about Onel Hernandez is the attitude. That if we had 22 players that had that attitude, we'd be fine. Because he smiles, he's positive, he's happy, he loves the fans, he loves the club, and I don't think he's playing a game at all. He does it because he genuinely does love Norfolk and Norwich, and I'm a proud Norfolk man, as you two are. And when someone comes to our county and tells us how much they love it, we love them. So I get quite emotional about players like that because I just think, do you know what? He's one of us. Onel's one of us, all the way from Cuba, via Germany, and he's one of us. So I would love nothing better than Onel to start again, on Wednesday, score a couple, and the crowd would come unglued.
Go on, tell me a stat then, you funky stat.
Well,
provided you, because I know you haven't found it yourself.
Michael Bailey, thank you. Someone articulate that's actually more intelligent than me has backed me up here. There is this illusion that Onel doesn't do anything, which is just bullshit. First of all, he won us the game at Birmingham, which is more than most of these squad members have done this season. He single-handedly won us a game of football on his own. This is the stat of all stats. This was actually bigging up Ramsey, but sorry, Ramsey.
So it's a stat about Ramsey.
Sorry, Ramsey. I'm pushing you to the side of me. We do need to talk about Ramsey, though. Ramsey is inside the Championship's top 20 for shot-creating actions per 90 minutes. That ranks him third for Norwich behind Marcelino Núñez and Onel Hernandez, who, by the way, is third in the league.
What's a shot-creating action?
I
Doesn't
don't care, but I love it because it backs up my point, and that's what stats do. Right, here's what Onel does. Right, and I'm going to ask this to Rob because everyone knows I'm Onel bias. When Onel comes on as a substitute, What does he do? When he picks up the ball, what does he do?
He gets people on the edge of their seats, you know, like all good wingers do, you know, and he gets people excited, he gets positivity amongst the crowd, and he gets the crowd up, and he lifts the whole thing, and that's what you need.
And what does he do with the football, Rob?
He runs forward.
Yeah, he runs forwards.
Yeah.
And what does he do when he gets to the snake pit?
He tries to cross it.
He wins a corner.
Oh, he wins a corner, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And no one else does
but
that.
Here's my thing.
He's the only winger. He's the smallest fire of a million fires at Norwich City Football Club.
We need more Anels.
There are so many fires at Norwich City Football Club, and for some reason, because Anel does fucking TikTok, everyone's picking on him.
It's a great TikTok.
No one's picking on Anel.
I will stand up for him. He's the least for us. Onel is a credit to this football club. He's a credit to the community, and he is the type of personality that makes me want to watch football. And I'll tell you something as well. He won't mind me saying this. It was after what was the game before Burnley?
Sheffield United.
Sheffield United, right? He calls me up for a debrief, and he's like, "Chris, we need to fight more. We need to tackle more." He was incensed.
What's he telling you for? He needs to tell Kenny McLean.
He was incensed. Be careful on Kenny. He was incensed. This man bleeds our football club, and honestly, when like anyone that's on his back, get off it.
Did you tell him on it? You've got to score more goals. Because that's what Dean Smith said, didn't it? He said it outside
I think he does.
No,
But doesn't it speak volumes that he's one of the only players that's lasted these? I love how you're picking on me. Why has he lasted through these managers in the current
we haven't
setup?
got any wingers, so he's the only winger.
I think that's cheap.
I'm not being cheap. I'm just saying we need more wingers.
One more chat on wingers before we get onto questions, because there's some
Ramsey?
great ones here. Aaron Ramsey.
Please.
Is he a winger? Because he...
No.
What is he
I
then?
think he's sort of a
baller.
Number 10, can drift wide, but he's not a winger, is he? I'd say maybe a wide midfielder, but not a winger.
He was impressive on Saturday.
He was. He's a great player, you know, and he's another one. Smile on his face, great to talk to, positive, upbeat.
What I couldn't work out listening...
You know, we haven't got that amongst the fans, so, you know.
I was listening to Canary Call on Saturday night. I giggled at your AJ fact, so that was good, Rob.
Thank you. Phil Daly didn't like it.
Has Dean Smith started calling Nunes Nacho?
Yes, Nacho. And
why?
I can't remember why.
That's not catching on, is it?
Well, there's a character in Better Call Saul called Nacho. I don't know if it's something to do with that, but he's Mexican, so that's not, you know.
Okay. I was hearing Nacho and I was thinking, I'm not sure.
Well, I think I can't remember. I think they just I can't remember why. I can't remember why they call him it, but anyone who knows, get in touch.
We love this saying on the podcast, facts don't care about feelings. And Ramsey came in and the Norwich fans, I think it's fair to say, thought, what? But do you know what? Facts don't care about feelings. The performance levels are there. Critically, the stats are there. The stats that matter, by the way. Assists and now goals as well.
Great.
And a key problem in this side is the lack of Emi Buendia to connect the ball through to Timu. What we saw at the weekend was a brilliant bit of link up between Ramsey and Pukki, and that excites me because Pukki's been down in the dumps. I'm going to put it out there again. He's not 100% himself. So to have a player that feeds him the types of balls that he wants, rather than this sort of chipped through ball that we're trying at the moment from the defence, skipping the midfield. That's what Team Pukki needs. So I am fully on the Ramsey railway, and I do not want to get off.
There you go, some positivity. Finally, you know I'd get out of you. Clive Jolly's got a question for us.
Go on, Clive.
Yeah. After Rob's recent in-ring wrestling debut, if he could tag with any former, current, or former player or manager, who would it be, and who would he like to take on? My shout would be Rob tagging with our former manager Paul, forming the formidable tag team Lambert and Butler.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that'd be the obvious one, wouldn't it? And Lambert, do we like him again now, or? Great manager for us, isn't he?
Don't hate him.
Do you know what? Have I told you about
Ipswich?
Have I told you about my Lambert story at Glasgow Airport?
Yeah, I've answered the question. I'll go with Lambert then.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Paul Lambert, I've decided I don't like him still.
Oh.
I can't. He was in the front of the queue, and normally what I would do is I'd take the opportunity to chat him, probably try to get him on the podcast, do what I normally do. I just thought, no, I can't. You went there.
Better booking than me, mate, to be fair.
You went there.
I'll tell you what, if you got him.
He said no, so we asked you.
Yeah, thanks. Butler instead of Lambert, yeah. Yeah, I would tag with that. Yeah, go on, because Lambert and Butler, you've got to think about the name, you know. So, yeah.
JK asks, he's got a statement. He said, the utter self-indulgence of so many fans declaring they're going to stop attending games or can't be bothered. Fine, don't go. Someone else will. Supporting a football team is a hobby at the end of
Punchy.
the day. Find a different hobby instead, something you enjoy. We actually noticed this on Saturday.
Yeah.
So many empty seats.
Yeah.
Are you surprised fans have just stopped turning up? And season ticket holders as well, because season ticket holders around us, I'd say at least 50 in our block just weren't there.
Yeah.
I've got obviously loads of Norwich fans, and quite a lot of them don't always go now.
What?
So,
just
they're
bored
just like
or?
quite a lot of them. You know, I've got a lot of mates who live in London. Obviously, Norfolk boys who moved down there. They just don't. They've got families. You know, we're sort of in our 40s, so they've got little kids, and they want to go off and go to the London Zoo instead, or you know, people just got better things to do, or they want to go to the gym, or they want to go to the pub, or whatever. But you know, don't let the football spoil your day. That's what we always used to say. So maybe go to the football, but still have a good night out after. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair one.
There seems to be this culture though, like people whinge and whinge and whinge and whinge and whinge and whinge and whinge on social media, but yet they still turn up. It's like, well, if you
But
hate
you're
it that
entitled
much,
to. You pay your money.
oh mate, of course, no, absolutely, of course. But do you know what I would say? And actually, who asked that question?
JK, I think his name.
JK, I'm up for a bit of that actually. I like where you've gone there because Rob said it already with City Elite and stuff. I'm up for a bit of youthful energy. I'm up for a mix-up. Fine. If you're bored of it, don't come. I respect that, but I understand why people have decided to not come. I also understand that.
It's up to them.
I've got
Free
nothing better
country.
to go.
But I will be there.
Ryan says, statement. I've never fully understood why fans want their own team to lose so the manager could potentially lose their job. Had sections of the Snake Pit still booing at full time. Now, I know there was a caller, wasn't there, a Canary call who phoned up and said, and you were like, does that actually happen? It does, because there were certain fans around us on Saturday going, oh, we're 1-0 up, Dean Smith's still going to be here next week.
Yeah, but it's just, you can't not support your team, can you? I mean, it's just...
Is that really where we've sunk to, Rob?
Well, yeah, but it says more about... I don't know, I want to say it says more about them because everyone can do what they want, but you can't be in a situation where you're wanting the team to lose because if we keep winning, we'll go up. So, all right, yes, we've talked about the problems that brings, but you know, if we now keep winning, we'll be fine. You know, so but I don't think we will. I think we'll come unstuck again soon because I don't think we're quite good enough for perhaps automatic promotion, but that's fine. Let people do what they want. I mean, you can't. You know, I'm not gonna. Like I say, I'm a libertarian. Let people do whatever they want.
Fun question or a serious question? What do you want?
Let him have a serious question.
Serious.
He wants a serious one. Look.
Jess says, simple question. I'm not sure if it is. How does Stuart Webber turn around the fans' disconnect? And you can't say by just leaving.
Oh, blimey.
3-point action plan.
I think Norwich City need to do more of the little things that make a big difference. I think being present is very important. I think having more conversations with people, obviously working with the local media, obviously. I just think it's obvious. Like, if you're in it, tell us you're in it. Because our fan base now, my God, that would do the world of good if we just knew that, do you know what? Yeah, I'm in love with this club. I care about this club passionately, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that it's going to work out. Whereas at the moment, it feels like, do you know what it feels like? It feels like he's typed up his P45, he's typed up his resignation letter, and he's gone to the boss and he's gone, woo! No, actually, I'll keep it, don't worry, because I know I'm the top salesman. And actually... sorry, but it's true, isn't it? And like, and by the way, and again, I want to reiterate, I really don't want to have. I really, really respect Stuart Webber wholeheartedly for everything he's achieved and how he's been with us. He's been absolutely exceptional. But that's what I would say: presence, start talking more, and tell us you're in it, man.
I would say, don't look for any excuse to slag the fans off, and that goes for the whole club.
That's obvious.
Don't come do an interview, whether it be with the local media or in-house, whatever. Don't slag off.
I think you said it, didn't you? The fans are never the problem.
They're never ever wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, they're never the problem. They are wrong. We're all wrong. But no, it's never their fault. No. It's never gonna. You can't ever blame Grant Hanley handballing at Burnley on the fans. So it's never their fault. The fans are the constant. They're the ones that keep the club going. They'll be there in 200 years when everyone else is dead and gone. So you know the bottom line is the fans are never the problem.
Hufflepunk asks, out of the current squad...
Hang on, name of the week. Here we go.
Out of the current squad, who do you think would win a Norwich City Football Club Royal Rumble?
At the current
squad. So what kind of things are we looking... What attributes are we looking for a Royal Rumble winner here?
Well, you have to be, you know, like the boss has to like you to make you, you know, because obviously, you know, sometimes that happens where wrestling is slightly, you know, there's a little bit of predetermination going, you know, so you have to be popular. Yeah, no, it is real, but it's just, you know, it's a predetermined dance. I'd say. So really, you really are dancing. I'm not giving it away anyway. Come on, let's think of one. Well, I would go. Let's go with the big babyface Pop, and I would go with Anel Hernandez winning the Royal Rumble because every year sometimes you get like one where they'll all boo it, and you'll go, oh, boo, he won, and then every year the promoter will say, come on, let's have a feel-good winner, and it's got to be Anel against all odds. He comes out number one, and he goes all the way through, beats everyone, wins the title, bang. Champion at WrestleMania, Anel Hernandez.
One more from Hufflepuff.
And the fans would love that, Jack.
They would. That would get them on side.
Exactly.
Which former player do you think would get the biggest Edge-style return if they unexpectedly ran out of the tunnel with the lads to play against QPR? You don't know who Edge is.
I don't even understand that question.
So Edge came back. Edge had a really bad injury.
Edge
is a wrestler. Had a really bad injury, and he was gone for like 12 years, and he suddenly came back at Royal Rumble.
Imagine if Holty came out. Holty's
always going to be Holty, isn't it? It's got to be Holty.
Stan
He'll love that. Do you see that goal he scored in the charity?
Class.
What a player!
Yeah.
Really good.
Still got it.
Really good.
By the way, did you see my video the other day of Holty?
On his motorbike.
Yeah, he went for brekkie. He's got a motorbike now.
Someone tweeted you. I didn't expect Grant Holt to have a motorbike.
Do you know what he said to me?
It looks wrong.
Yeah,
it looks wrong.
Yeah, but he knows it.
Not much to do in Carlisle, is there?
He knows it though. He said to me, "Yeah, I'm a bit big for it, but it looks class. To be fair, good on him."
Did he have all his leathers on?
Oh, he loves it. Super Grant Holt.
Stan says, I want to know how Rob's able to mentally prepare himself for Canary Call after a loss.
Good shout.
Especially in the last couple of seasons. Does it get draining, Rob?
No. I absolutely love it. I love it. I want us to win every week, but, you know, I always think to myself, if we lose, at least we'll get some fun callers. So that's always a tiny little, you know, because honestly, I love it. I absolutely love it. And everyone always says that to me. They say, I'm surprised you don't cut people off. I love it. I've just done it long enough now to just take everything with a pinch of salt. You get the Dales of this world who are going to come on and be positive, whatever, and shout through people's letterboxes and walk his dog. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then you get the you know, negative. I forget his name now. Negative. I forget what we called him anyway. A bloke from Chrome who's always negative Mark.
Yeah,
there you go.
Negative.
And
Mark.
he's just always negative. And he says, "Oh, negative Mark here," and you go, "Oh, what you got to say? Nothing positive." And then you get Peter, who's sometimes in the bath. I've detected before. I've had a little splash, which is fine. Sometimes he'll say, "Well, I've had 4 beers today, Rob." So you know, you think, "Oh, he's quite sober today." Then, so I love it. I think the characters are great, but also I must say, and you said you heard this week, we sometimes get some, you know, callers who are brand new and they've got an amazing point to make. So it's a great phone in.
And I was a huge fan of Cootie doing the commentary in his Norwich shirt.
Yeah, he's in a Norwich shirt. Cootie, I must say, unreal. He's one of the nicest blokes you'll ever meet. You should get him on. Have you had him on?
No,
we haven't.
He's such a character. He was on Countdown, of course, famously. He loves Disney, so if you had a little Mickey Mouse thing or something, he is.
Did you say he was on? Oh, he loves Disney.
He loves Disney, but he was on Countdown.
Got you.
Did you remember he was on Countdown?
No.
He was on Countdown, yeah, famously football on Countdown. Northern Ireland International, and Brian Hamilton's his uncle as well. So
really,
there we go.
Yeah. Oh my former Norwich manager, yeah.
Ryan says, how many pairs of Nike Air Jordans does Rob own, and is there a Grail pair that he wants?
Yeah, good question.
Obviously, love a pair of those.
I do love a pair of J's. Obviously, you know, I couldn't have. That's what we call.
You are quite cool, though. You are quite cool. Yeah. You've got really cool. You've been on this podcast.
You've been on this podcast. 8 years old, mate.
You've been on this podcast, I think 4 times now, and each time you've got more cool.
Did I have like Dunlop Green Flash that time? Did I the first time?
Yeah, you have got really cool.
Do you text Todd and sort of call him bro? And
he doesn't have J's. He's sponsored by someone else, isn't he? But there are other trainers available. I don't favour one particular trainer, I must say. But if how many have I got? I reckon I've got not as many as you'd think. I've got about 7 pairs of J's.
Oh, okay.
And the Holy Grail pair. There's a pair of Air Jordan 4s that I really like. They're called Lightning. They're yellow, completely yellow with black trim. But they're about 400 quid.
Wow, blimey.
The ones I really want, they're another pair of 4s, and they're have you ever seen a film called Do the Right Thing?
No.
Spike Lee joint? No. Come on, kids, you've got to get on this. Do the Right Thing. Classic sort of hip hop film. Absolute legendary film. And there's a bit in it where one of the characters, who's played by, do you watch Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Seen it.
So you know Gus.
Yeah.
You know the sort of bad guy, but we all love him. Giancarlo Esposito, I think the actor. He's in it as a young lad or young man, and he's got a pair of 4s on, and someone sort of grazes his shoes, and he's a big scene where someone messes up his Jordans. It's a really classic scene, and Nike brought out a pair of shoes that have like the greys on them, so they are those shoes. So they're really hard to find. So you know, if anyone, I'm not allowed to accept gifts 'cause I work for the BBC, but when I don't work for the BBC one day,
we accept gifts.
I did see though that your one of your pairs down said they are gleaming.
Yes.
If someone were to kind of scuff them, would you kick off?
Well, yeah, it would be like the film, Do the Right Thing. Watch it, kids. Do the Right Thing. It's a brilliant film. The clip's on YouTube. Search for it after this. Do the Right Thing, trainer scuff. I get really upset if anyone goes near my J's, and I do clean them. I've got special wipes for them. And the pair downstairs are a pair of 3s, fire red.
They look very
clean.
nice.
You did clean is the word we use.
You did say I love that from you the other day as well.
I do, yeah. I've got it all, mate. I've got all the kids' phrases. I might even open a MySpace account.
Do you know the one I can't get? Sick. Like that is just not. Yeah. That's not good.
Clean. That's what I like to say.
Don't say
clean.
Yeah. Do you use sick?
No, I don't use.
Do you say like bro like that? That's a good one now. Bro.
I'd probably text it. I wouldn't say it out loud.
Yeah.
I think I'd cringe if I said it out loud. But
I'm going to start saying that to Chris Gore.
That's fine,
I'm going to be like,
bro.
When he says, "What should we stop for? A burger, or should we have, a normal service station meal?" I'll say, "Bro." Like that. Chris will just look at me and just go, "Get out," like that. So,
he is your bro.
He is my bro.
Yeah,
He's not a football bro. Yeah.
One final question.
Sorry, I went on about.
No, it's good.
No, that's right.
It's good.
Come on, let's have a light-hearted one.
But other trainers are available.
Just in case you
Scaredy Matt, I think he's changed his Twitter profile for Halloween. We are, of course, filming on
Halloween.
In the Halloween festive period.
Do you used to go trick-or-treating, Rob?
No.
No?
No. My dad wouldn't let me. He said
really?
he was begging. Yeah. Which
I
think is a bit harsh.
As it's Halloween, pick a player/staff member and what costume you think they'd dress for as Halloween.
Good
I could see Shaky as a horrifying butcher.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant. Yeah, with like an apron with all blood over it and a big knife.
Yeah, that's class. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Well, Josh Sargent could be Chucky.
Yeah, nice.
Easy. Yeah. Dungarees.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I reckon Teemu Pukki would be like some sort of like
the finisher.
What do you call the? What do you call the blokes with the chainsaws in the forest? Come on. Lumberjack. He'd be a haunted lumberjack.
Yes. Yeah.
That's Teemu Pukki. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I'd like to see. We're good if on Wednesday evening against QPR.
Well, Anel's done that video.
Yeah,
let's clown.
Yeah, and that's what we. And
really
by the way,
funny.
let's, because we spoke about the media earlier. Let's give credit where credit's due. That's the type of video that we need to see.
You want to see someone else?
We want to see
shout out to Jack at the club.
Yeah.
I know he's in the video and he put it together. He did a bit with us for a City view. He's a brilliant operator, young Jack.
Yeah,
brilliant
operator. They're good. We just need to see more of the player personalities.
It's really funny, but watch it. I'm not here to plug what they do, but I genuinely, I love watching players do.
Yeah, stupid shit.
And Grant Hanley just doesn't sell it at all. He's just like, he runs out and he's just like, what's your problem, like that, which is brilliant. I love it.
We're going to do one serious one and one fun one.
Do the serious one to Rob, please, because I've had enough being serious.
Statement. I'm saying what should be apparent, but clearly isn't. A week ago, when people were actually begging for Kenny's suspension not to be overturned, not only it shows poor character, but a complete disrespect towards the club. Seriously shows the levels we've shrunk to.
So the Kenny McLean.
Yeah. So people were celebrating his suspension because it meant we were without
stupid,
3 games.
Because Kenny McLean, I know he's not everyone's favourite player, but every manager who's had him has picked him, haven't they? So that tells you all you need to know. And I think we've got bigger problems than worried about Kenny McLean being in the team. He works hard. He shouldn't be that player we look to be like the main outlet. But come on, get off Kenny's back. He's been a good player for Norwich, I think.
The thing that I don't understand about the Kenny hate, I think Norwich fans have really... Well, first of all, the stuff that I've seen on social media is actually disgusting. Like, genuinely, I don't use that word lightly. I think it's well over the mark. It's so poor because it's not critical of his performance. It's actually personal, which is completely out of order and will have an impact on... If it doesn't have an impact on him, it'll have an impact on his family and friends that are on social media as well. The ROI we've got from Kenny.
What does ROI mean?
Return on investment, Rob. Come on, get to speed.
Fine.
Return on
I
investment.
It was the Republic of Ireland. Irish.
Definitely not. Return on investment. Okay, so we spent on Kenny. If it wasn't 100 grand, it might have been 200 grand.
I thought it was like 2 million, wasn't it?
No.
Check that.
I think it was.
All right, okay, fine. Let's
We
call
got
it 2
him,
million.
Remember, and he
I don't
stayed
think
at
it is.
Aberdeen for a while.
I don't think it is.
I'm not disagreeing. I just
It
thought
was.
it
It
was
was.
more than that.
It
I
wasn't
reckon-
much.
All right,
No,
okay, okay.
I'll agree. It wasn't a lot of money. Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of money. I could have sworn it was 200 grand. Anyway, the
Well,
ROI.
check it.
If it was 2 million, we've got our money's worth.
Yeah, agreed. So
And
if it
then
is 2
some,
million,
and then
I don't
some.
think it was. I think it was more than 200,000.
Okay, you cover me. I'll try and find it.
Right, final question from Will.
Yeah.
Will says, Rob, which Norwich City player have you loved for absolutely no reason? Will's was Ollie Johnson, absolute baller. I even went as far as getting his number on the back of my shirt with my name. I was 7, in all fairness.
I mean,
Chuck's
I
at the
could
end.
go way back and pick a player you've never heard of, but I won't. I'll do someone a bit more recent. Well, I mean, obviously everyone knows my love of Bradley Johnson, but that was for good reason because he was brilliant. So everyone loved Bradley. 203,000 is that? 203,000.
So you could have gone on deal or no deal, won the top
Sorry,
prize.
beg your
and
pardon,
bought
I stand corrected. But if it had been 2 million, it still would have been ROI. Okay. I don't know what. I don't know. It's a good question. That who did I love for no real reason?
Mine was Mark Tierney.
Yeah,
Yes, you
you
did
were.
love
You,
him.
oh
Really
no,
loved him.
no, I've got a worse one for you. Because with Mark, at least he put in a performance consistently. Yannick Wilshere.
Yeah, I loved Yannick Wilshere.
That was a shambles
I think
for me.
I loved him for a reason. Scored a memorable goal at Bramall Lane. Dennis Srebeni.
Oh,
Again,
that was
he
a
put in
classic.
performance.
Oh, actually, people notice. People.
Them hats are used
Do you
to
know what?
wear
I don't.
expensive, aren't they?
The thing we never really
About
actually.
200 quid,
We've never
aren't they?
really talked people through the TNC Shrine, but. What I would say is I've added something new to the
I was gonna say,
TNC Shrine
where's this
recently.
come from?
Oh, sugar. We're destroying it.
What a mess,
This is a new feature. The icon himself. What a man. Captain, leader, legend.
Where did you find that? Up the attic or something?
Yeah, somewhere.
So Dennis Sabreni's definitely one that you two have loved for no real reason. Because
No real reason. Mate, he's absolutely brilliant.
he scored at Everton that time, didn't
Exactly.
he?
At home to Villa.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, this one for older viewers. I loved a player called Andy Fensom that we had when I was a
Who?
kid. Andy Fensom, way before your time. He got on the bench a couple of times. I used to go and watch the reserves. You ever go and watch the reserves? I'm sure you did.
Sounds like a painted decorator.
He probably is a painting director now. Decorator even. And I don't know what it was about. He's like a full back, and because we had Mark Bowen and Ian Culverhouse, who are probably our two best ever fullbacks, but Andy Fenton was always in the reserve. I just loved him.
Nice.
And I remember being at a first team game, obviously in my season ticket when I was a kid, and he was on the bench, and it was probably 2 subs at the time, and I was just so excited. I was like, oh Dad, Andy Fenton was on the bench. And
Did he wear any J's?
No, probably because it was the time they came out, in the 80s. But so Andy Fenton. He went to Cambridge United. I sort of followed his career for a bit. It was a bit like a God bless him, David Lee kind of obsession for a little while. And we love you, David, if you're watching.
we do.
You're a
Club
good friend
shop.
of ours. But with Daryl Such and Gary Holt, 3 lungs and all that. But yeah, Andy Fenton. He went to Cambridge, did all right, played games for him, and I sort of.
I love
always,
that. I love
so Andy Fenton.
Andy
People
Fenton.
will remember him who are a bit older.
There's got to be someone out there with an Andy Fenton shirt.
Tell you what,
Yeah.
old David Lee's got competition now. Old Liz Truss is spending more than him in the club shop.
Absolutely.
Gary Doherty's my answer, just in case you wanted it.
I bet he was a
Was
good
it?
player.
Yeah.
The Ginger Pele.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is a really good question because it's
Yeah.
got to be so Dennis Sabreni's a good example, lads.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think Gary Doherty's too.
Are you
Well,
joking me?
Well,
Right,
there's
that's
gotta
it.
be a player
Podcast
who's-
over.
And also, when we went for dinner with Dennis,
Oh,
that could be a
listen to
series.
this, yeah.
No, he asked for restaurant recommendations in Great Yarmouth. He loved Great
Oh, don't start
Where
me
did you
on
recommend?
this.
Yarmouth. The Columbia.
Do you know
Yes.
what was mad about that? Right, is that I know we got some real stick for the whole icon thing, right? Because he wore the icon cap.
Yeah, but
He got his signature.
200 quid.
He
man.
got his signature card out, and the first thing he didn't put his signature on it. He wrote icon.
What is he thinking?
They're cool, Rob.
Because he
No,
knows.
I'm not saying that. There's nothing wrong with a hat. I'm just saying Dennis Sabreni called himself an icon.
I'm not going to
I mean,
accept.
come on.
Your slander for Dennis Srebeni
I can count
is
on one
disgusting.
Hand. I can count on one hand how many icons have connected with our football club. Duncan Forbes, Jeremy Goss, Grant Holt.
Yeah, good.
That's 3 of them.
There you
Wes.
go, that's
No,
the
but come on. That is a besmirch to the name of Jeremy Goss. Him calling himself an icon. Goodness.
Rob, pleasure.
Lovely
As
to see
always.
you,
Thanks so
boys.
much.
Thanks
Really
for-
appreciate it,
thanks
mate.
for
Thanks,
having me.
mate.
Loved it.